All right. Well, thank you everyone for coming out to this webinar. This is hosted by the Medicine Working Group of the Canadian Social Prescribing Student Collective. So basically, we're a group that's dedicated to advancing research, education, and advocacy in social prescribing. And our current efforts involve many things, including conducting national-wide research to assess medical students' knowledge and interest in social prescribing, raising awareness through social media advocacy, amplifying the medical student voice in social prescribing through various position papers, and then, of course, the speaker series with a particular focus on social prescribing in regards to addressing the homelessness crisis. So we're always open to new members or new initiatives. So if you're interested, feel free to contact us. You can reach us at the email, which I'll post in the chat soon after this. So I'm Daniel. I'm one of the members of the Canadian Social Prescribing Student Collective. And today we'll be starting off to get to know our guest a little bit. And after his presentation, we should have some time for your questions. So you can post your questions in the chat, or there's a link posted in the chat as well, which you can use that to post your questions anonymously if you want. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our guest today, Dr. Louis Francescutti. So he's an emergency physician and professor at the University of Alberta with decades of experience in public health and various leadership roles. He's been recognized with numerous prestigious awards, including being inducted into the Order of Canada. He was selected as one of Alberta's top 100 physicians of the century and was named one of Alberta's 50 most influential people. So Dr. Louis Francescutti is currently developing the Bridge Healing Program, which is an initiative designed to support individuals experiencing homelessness and specifically in the emergency care setting. So now with over 1,500 global presentations, we have him today to share a little bit more about that and dive a little bit deeper into his experiences with social prescribing and specifically the Bridge Healing Program. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, and I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thanks, Dan. Daniel was a student of mine and developed this implementation manual for Bridge Healing and did a great job. So it's always nice to reconnect with him. Just out of curiosity, are students just from Saskatchewan or are they from across the country?
So we should have students from across the country, from various medical schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So I'll try and take a pan-Canadian approach, although I will focus on Edmonton, since this is where the program originated and is currently running as well. Those are pictures of the buildings that we've built. There's three of them, one next to each other. Very beautiful buildings. They're all purpose-built. The top 2 stories are the clients' living quarters. They each have about 225 square feet. They have their own shower that's wheelchair accessible. The whole room is designed so that if there's a leak in it, it all drains into the shower based on previous experience with folks that sometimes have higher needs. And the main floor is a big common area, common kitchen, common living room, common gathering room, computer room, laundry facilities. And that is known as Eden model or the Eden principle. So that if you put 8 to 12 adults together in one building, they form an instant family and they start supporting each other as well, both therapeutically and emotionally. So it's really nice to see these men and women come together and start their journey to recovery. So the program is very simple. If you show up in any of the 5 emergency departments in Edmonton and you're experiencing homelessness and you express an interest in trying to work towards permanent housing, then this program, if a bed's available, which it rarely is because there's only 36 right now, then we ask you a screening questionnaire and put you in a cap and send you over there, and you start your journey to recovery. And you can stay there as long as you want, and it's free of charge. And the goal is to help you get better. So that's bridge healing in a nutshell. Makes a lot of sense. Why hasn't it been done before? Because it's really hard to do. Because you're trying to find operating dollars, you're trying to find dollars to build the buildings and to sustain the program. But let's go through it, and hopefully at the end of it all, you'll look at this and say, wow, that's an exciting idea. I'd like to see if I can get this started in my community. And if you do want to, as I said, Daniel worked on developing an implementation manual that you can use to get started. And if there's anything I can do to help you, just reach out. I've sent the slides to Daniel, and he can share them with you as well. Oop, first thing didn't work. I think I got to get her starting this way. Okay, I just want to acknowledge that Hunter Dobie Purvis, brilliant graphic artist, helped put these slides together. And it's really important that if someone helps you develop a really superb presentation, that you acknowledge their contributions. So here's the roadmap for today. We're going to talk about the challenges of being unhoused. I think you're quite familiar with them. We're going to talk about why a visit by a patient that's experiencing homelessness to an emergency department should be viewed as a desperate cry for help, right? Because that's what it is. Because they have to leave their limited possessions outside the door, go through security, talk to a snarly nurse, and then wait, 8 hours in the emergency department. So they're pretty well at their lowest point of their life. We have a proven solution. We've been doing it for 2 years. It works. It's been evaluated. And we know that we get a $4 to 1 return for every dollar invested in the program. So it's a fantastic opportunity that needs to be scaled up. And I'll have Dan play a couple of demos of Joan. She's our AI chatbot, and it's just amazing what this chatbot can do. She's named Joan after one of our first volunteers, but in a very non-threatening, trauma-informed, ethical way, she'll sit and talk to a patient on an iPad in a private setting and just have a conversation with them. And as she's building the conversation, she's coming up with a complexity score of the patient, similar to a Glasgow Coma scale for brain injury. We're trying to develop this scale. We're calling it the Corbett scale after a famous rehab specialist at the University of Alberta. And by the end of it all, I'm looking for your input with your ideas and how you think this can be made to move forward. The long and short of it is, this is the world that I work in. Emergency departments. I work at the Royal Alex. If you don't know, that's a busy inner city hospital, the busiest in Western Canada. And we have no control over what comes through our door 24/7, 365. But let's today focus on the homeless, the hungry, and the hopeless. How big a problem is this? Well, if you've had the chance to visit either Banff, Canmore, or Jasper, beautiful recreational locations within Alberta, that combined population of about 26,000 is the number of visits we have in our emergency departments in Alberta every year. And I have them broken down by every emergency department. So it's an enormous problem. And the problem's worse in Edmonton than it is in Calgary. That's all you need to take from this slide. And year over year, the problem is getting worse. Now, what are the root causes of homelessness? Well, there's a definition of homelessness. It's either chronic or episodic. We know there's a direct correlation between homelessness and mental health. Hard to say which came first, but in our homeless population, we're almost always seeing some element of mental health. Substance use disorders is present. These men and women are addicted to chaos. They're in survival mode. They're just trying to get by minute by minute. A lot of them, if not all of them, have had terrible adverse childhood experiences. They're caught in this vicious cycle that they can't get out of. And what we do, unfortunately, is we treat them and street them. We really don't pay attention to their needs as we should. We let them wait in the waiting room, do a quick cursory exam, and then turn them out onto the street again. And most of them don't want to go, and security gets involved, and it becomes a real mess. And it's something that's actually in 2025 in Canada, quite disgusting, the level of care we give this patient population. Our hospital in particular is the epicenter. We see 8,000, plus visits in our emergency department. It's the most of any emergency department in the country. There's one, two, three, four, five, six, seven emergency departments in the Edmonton region. And you can see the Royal Alex at the top, by far sees the greatest number of patients that are identified as homeless. The risk to these men and women that are unhoused, obviously, they have increased health problems. As I mentioned, they're more exposed to violence, substance use disorders, nutritional deficiencies, inadequate hygiene. We're seeing cutaneous diphtheria, skin problems with some of these folks, Shigella, a very virulent, pathogenic GI tract infection is running rampant sometimes within this population. They don't live as long as you and I. They're more prone to hypo and hyperthermia. This winter, we've had an enormous run of frostbite injuries. They have limited access to healthcare, and they're socially isolated as well. So if there was ever a patient population that needed our attention, our patients that are experiencing homelessness are the ones we should be focusing on. That's our hospital. That's the atrium to the hospital. And we know that the impact of being houseless on the emergency department is increased waste times, inability to access care, inability to have interventions done that need to be done, obviously a greater risk of utilization, greater risk of admission as well. So we developed these buildings, and these buildings are just gorgeous. I mean, they're brand new. They're purposely built. The front of the buildings have vegetable gardens. They have fruit trees. The buildings are heated with heat pumps so that they're maintained at an ideal temperature, both summer and winter. In the future, they're going to have solar panels. There's no gas going into them, so they're very carbon neutral. And even though we had three lots next to each other, we didn't build one bigger building because we wanted to maintain that sense of community. So each building has its own flavor and its own name and its own perspective. And when you go through them, if we have time later, we can come back and I can do a tour through the building for you. But they're just well designed, and they're designed at a fraction of the cost of what any other building is built at. So we can build a bed for $125,000 per room. Everybody else that's trying to do it is up in the $500,000 range. So we could build it, a quarter of the price. And here's one of our clients. What they do there is no different than what you or anyone else would do if you're given an opportunity to, you know, not have to worry about your security, knowing that you're going to be fed, and knowing that you have time to decompress and start actually getting better. So our occupancy rate is 103%. So in other words, if somebody leaves in the morning, by afternoon, that bed is filled again, fully wheelchair accessible, and it's run by a community not-for-profit called Jasper Place Wellness Center, and they've been great partners to work with. And what we've done is come up with this concept on the basis of about 20 years of experience that they've had serving this population that has special needs. So these men and women, just as I said, if it's Oilers night, they'll watch the Oilers game, or they'll have bingo night or karaoke night, play cards, just hang around, watch TV, go for a walk. And then during the day, they're working with housing workers to try and get their lives back on track. We just got ourselves a $4.8 million grant to open a health clinic. So we will have our own health clinic linked to these patients as well, so that their primary care needs and preventative care needs are going to be met. So they do, as I mentioned, cooking. Somebody likes to, organize a chess tournament. Somebody else likes to, organize an outing to the library or the museum and the older. So they called it Breaking Cycles, Bridging Hope. And we're incredibly, incredibly grateful to the foundation for being such a great partner for us. So the goal is to raise 10 and then match it with 34 million from government sources and other financing so that we can continue to scale this up and build more and more beds. The community has stepped up with golf tournaments. We had a very successful one last September. Qualico, a big construction company, held it for us. The lady next to me is from the foundation, and the lady next to her and the gentleman are from Jasper Place Wellness. And at Christmas, they gave us a check for $180,000. So that's pretty amazing that you can have one golf tournament and in one afternoon raise $180,000 for bridge healing. There was a fantastic article on April 1st of last year that Molly Hayes did for the Globe and Mail talking about a housing remedy for Canada's hard-hit ERs. And that's a picture of me walking in our emergency department. I like the way they blurred it so you couldn't see anyone else. But it's a really good article if you want to read an in-depth look at what's going on across the country with this issue. She did a great job. Now, I, I don't have to spend a lot of time here telling you the economic benefits of actually starting to house unhoused emergency department patients, right? It makes sense from a moral perspective, makes sense from an economic perspective, and it makes sense from an efficiency perspective. What we found is that when we have clients go through our program successfully, there's a 70% reduction in return visits to the emergency room. And we just finished an economic analysis that shows that we were able to get a $4 return for every dollar invested in the program. So it cuts return visits to emergency, saves an enormous amount of money, and patients end up with fewer other benefits as well, fewer arrests, fewer emergency visits, fewer inpatient hospitalizations. I'm going through these slides quickly because you'll have the slide deck. This is just to give you an idea of what we're doing. 5 different emergency departments currently are sending patients to Bridge Healing. But as we build more and more beds, it became apparent to us that we're going to need different levels of care. And so it's very hard for anybody to try and do an interview with these patients, find out everything we need to know about them without tapping into any other data sources, and then coming up with a treatment plan for them based on their needs and assigning some complexity score, which we're calling the Corbett score. So the only way we can do that is by using AI. Now, as soon as some people hear AI, they recoil and they freak out and they go, not over my dead body. Well, that's fine. But we need to use a different approach for these patients to better serve their needs and better match them to the resources that they require. So Joan has been developed in a very compassionate way. She's been developed through the guidance of ethicists, end users, people with lived experience, people that have served this population for a long period of time, AI architects, and people in our rehabilitation and medicine faculty as well. So the front end, for any of you techies, uses React Material UI. The back end uses Django, Node.js, and Jinx. I don't know anything about this. My AI architect put these slides together. And then they're natural language processing models and AI models. And these constantly are changing day by day. So, what's up to date today at my weekly meeting with my AI architect, Kevin, next week, he's got something new that's going on. We started off with a touch screen, and we're now at just voice recognition. So Here's what I'm going to do is wrap up here, and then I'll get Dan to just show you the prototype so that you can get an idea. And that should leave us plenty of time to have a conversation. And then what we can also do, if we have a little extra time, is I can go back and try and find that link to do a walkthrough of the building for you as well. So here's how you can help providing anonymized healthcare data, contribute regional language data, although most of this seems to be under control. In other words, Joan can talk any language out there. Server space we're doing okay on. This was what I needed a couple of months ago, but we've been able to get all this stuff, so we really don't need it anymore. We've got a lot of pilot testing going on at one of our colleges. We've got some data sets that we're using to train her, and we've got plenty of volunteers that have stepped up from technical support as well. Now, the ethical part is always the part that we want to make absolutely sure that we're on top of, right? Garbage in, garbage out. We want to make sure that Joan is learning from her experiences. And so every time she interacts with a client, she learns from that interaction because we track our clients' wellness as they're with us and learn from that as well. I just want to end with a beautiful note we got from one of our female clients who wrote this totally unsolicited. When I came here from my Royal Alexandra Hospital in December, all my life belongings had been stolen. My wig was falling off, laugh out loud. All I wanted was a shower, and I had no faith in the future. I still remember Joseph and Odessa welcoming me into the program and how skeptical I was that evening, thinking to myself that nothing and no one was going to save me. But I made a bet with myself to give this program a chance for just 1 week at a time. And thanks to you all, I finally have ID. I have my own place to live for the first time in my life and don't have to beg family or be in a relationship for a roof over my head. And I got the financial support to be able to reapply to college. I'm going to be at NATE, that's our college, in September. You have all saved my life. I will never forget any of you. So here's a girl that was homeless, came to our emergency department, went to the program and spent, I think it was like 62 days with us, was able to turn her life around. And now she's a student at one of our colleges. And I think she went into nursing. So we've got hundreds of stories of success like that. But we also have some stories where we were not successful in meeting the needs of our client. And that's why working with Joan, we think that we're going to be able to figure out how come we didn't meet their needs and fine tune the program so that we can meet their needs as well. So here's a scan, or you can just Google Bridge Healing Royal Alexandra Hospital Foundation if you want to find out more about it. And if you want to reach out to me, there's my contact information as well. Probably the easiest way is drlou.ca. And on the website, it says, say hello. If you click that, you can send me a message. Dan, we'll take a couple of questions now. I'll stop sharing my screen. Oh, let me wait, hold on. Let me try and do something here. Let me try and see if I can do this. So if I put this back in presentation, if I click on that, are you still seeing
5 words
my screen?
you pronounce wrong. 2 years.
I'm still seeing the slide.
Down.
Oh, you're still seeing the slide, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. I think what I have to do is stop sharing that. Now hit, I think this is the way to do it. Hold on. Now I'll share. Okay, yeah. Now tell me if what shows up now is like a YouTube. Wait, no, that wasn't it. Hold on. Stop share on my screen. My screen, I had that's PowerPoint Safari. Okay, that's the one. Share. Okay, now are you seeing a YouTube screen?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now, I don't know if the sound will be there, but if the sound's not, tell me if you hear sound. Do you hear sound?
No, not yet.
Okay, do you
But
see the video?
no, the video isn't quite playing.
Okay, hold on. It says paused. Then what
Yeah.
you it always does this. What you can do is open up the links I sent you,
Hmm.
and play those.
Sure, I can share my
Well,
screen to play those.
and then you're probably smarter than me. If you go to the slide presentation, this slide, and click on it, it has the link for the what's playing.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I'll play this YouTube video first. Just the AI chat box.
Okay.
All right.
So as he's getting that set up, just picture you having a patient in the emergency department that's interested in the program, and they've signed a consent saying that they want to participate. And this is to show you how it works, okay?
Hello.
Hello there, my name is Joan. How are you doing today? I'm here to support you, and I'd like to ask a few questions to understand your situation better and see how we can help. Let's start with your name. What should I call you?
You can call me Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin. It's a pleasure to meet you. Let's talk about how you're feeling physically today. Are you experiencing any pain or discomfort?
Yes, actually, I'm feeling my back hurts a little bit. Some feeling sore from working all day.
I'm sorry to hear that your back hurts, Kevin. Walking all day can definitely make you feel sore. It's important to take care of yourself. Do you have a safe and stable place to stay right now where you can rest?
No, I'm sleeping at shelter right now, but it's always full.
It sounds like things have been quite challenging, with the shelter being full. I hope we can find a more comfortable solution for you soon. Let's talk about emotional support. Are you feeling emotionally supported? Or do you need help with feelings like stress, anxiety, or sadness?
I'm feeling really stressed, and I'm all alone, so I feel lonely.
I'm truly sorry to hear that you're feeling so stressed and lonely, Kevin. It's important to have someone to talk to.
Can you please ask me questions in French?
Bien sûr, Kevin. Parlons maintenant de votre accès aux soins médicaux. Avez-vous pu consulter un médecin récemment ou avez-vous besoin
Can
d'aide
you
pour renvoyer?
please ask me these questions in Hindi?
बिल्कुल, मैं हिंदी में सवाल पूछूंगी। क्या आपने हाल ही में किसी डॉक्टर से चिकित्सा देखभाल पाई है? या आपको
Sorry,
डॉक्टर-
can we switch back to English, please?
Of course, Kevin. We can switch back to English. Have you been able to access medical care recently? Or do you need help seeing a doctor?
Haven't seen doctor in months, so I think I need one.
It's important to get regular checkups, especially if you're feeling sore and stressed. We'll look into helping you find a doctor. Are you currently taking any medications or have any ongoing medical conditions we should know about?
I have diabetes, but I don't have my medicines yet with me.
Thank you for sharing that with me, Kevin. It's crucial to manage diabetes, and we'll work on getting you the medical support and medication you need. Regarding your current environment, do you feel safe, or are there any immediate safety concerns you'd like to share?
Not really safe. Some people at shelter fight a lot.
I'm sorry to hear that, Kevin. Feeling unsafe can be very distressing. We'll look into finding you a more secure place to stay. Are you experiencing any challenges with food, clothing, or other basic needs right now?
I could really use some warm clothes and maybe more food.
We'll work on getting you the warm clothes and food you need, Kevin. Now, let's talk about substance use. Do you use substances like alcohol or drugs? And do you feel you might need support with managing or stopping their use?
I drink sometimes, but it's really hard to stop.
Thank you for sharing that, Kevin. It's not easy to talk about these things, and seeking help for alcohol use is a positive step. We can look into resources to help you manage or reduce drinking. Have you faced any violence, trauma, or difficult experiences recently that you'd like support with?
Yeah, I got into a bad argument and got pushed around last week.
I'm really sorry to hear about that incident, Kevin. Being in a situation like that can be very upsetting. We can explore options for support and safety. Do you have any mobility challenges or disabilities we can assist with?
My legs messed up from the old injury, so walking hurts.
I'm sorry your leg causes you pain, Kevin. We'll do our best to find ways to make moving around easier for you. Are you connected to any support services or programs, or would you like help finding resources?
Not really. I would like help finding some of the support if you have any connections.
We'll certainly help you find the support and resources you need, Kevin. Finally, what is the most urgent or important concern we can help you with today?
Please find me a place to stay tonight. It's very cold outside. It's negative 23 degrees. I really need a place to sleep. Thank you.
I've found you a place to stay for the night. You'll have a bed at downtown Edmonton, located at 9620 102 Ave, Edmonton, Alberta. Your bed number is A118. We've also arranged a taxi to pick you up. Is there anything else you need help with right now?
Oh, that's all. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome, Kevin. I'm glad I could help. Take care, and remember, you're not alone. If you need further assistance, don't.
Yeah. So I think that gives you a really good idea of how powerful this tool actually is. And then why don't we take some questions? So, and if you feel comfortable and you're able, I always like looking at faces instead of blank screens. Just turn on your camera and let's have a conversation. I've left plenty of time so that we can have a conversation. There's another video that similarly does a wellness check. And then we can do the walkthrough. The walkthrough is just going through the building and just showing you how beautiful it is and how it's set up. But I'd rather use the time to engage in a conversation if anyone has any questions.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hi. I was interested in, I am interested in this social prescribing.
Sure. Maybe what you can do is just tell me a little bit about yourself, like your name, where you're at. And
Oh, okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I am in Toronto,
Yeah.
in Oakville rather. And I have moved here from England after 24 years, so having lived there. So it's been 10 years now that I'm in Canada. And I work as a distance learning tutor for London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. And currently I'm engaged with Global Health Delivery as well, which is Mass Gathering and Global Health Network. So we are trying to work on this, the community level thing, because there are a lot of researchers, a lot of PhDs, a lot of this and a lot of that, but as a community as a whole, it's the effort, the impact is not that strong. So I'm talking not just about, I'm originally from Pakistan, and there, like for instance, tuberculosis, it's it has come back with vengeance, and all despite the availability of so many treatments, advances in the the vaccine development and all that. So why are we not getting the outcome that that should be seen with all that advancement? So obviously there are a lot of factors that contribute to it, and so we were, and then with the COVID, this social prescribing thing, my mentor, he said that, there are a lot of social prescribers in England. He works in UK. And so I tried to reach you guys out and started getting emails. So it's my first time that I'm attending this, and I wanted to know more how I can, be there to to contribute or do something, because I found I haven't found any job in Canada so far. It's been 10 years. But now that I've done this global health delivery, so I want to be doing something which is more meaningful. And to me, this basically, because I am connected with distance, I do distance learning, and that is also partly the problem is the feeling of isolation, that you are on your own. So even with our students, when we talk to them, so it's because they are overwhelmed with all the readings and everything that they have to do, and it's good to, like you said, that it's good to see a face rather than a blank screen.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm here. Sorry.
Okay. Well, thanks for your comments and welcome. What does the signage behind you say?
Oh, that's Arabic. Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khairin faqir. That's a Quranic verse. And it means that, oh my Lord, I am, or I can't exactly put it in the same word, but the gist of it is that I am begging for everything that you can give in this right time. Is in this moment in time.
Oh, excellent. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing your comments.
Not at all.
Any other comments, anybody? Or questions?
I don't know if you can see me.
Yeah, we can
Yes,
see you.
we
Yeah.
can see you.
Yeah, so I'm a student of social work from University of Windsor.
Yeah.
And I work as the coordinator of transitional setting through Loft Community Services in Toronto.
Yeah.
So my question is, I'm pretty sure, about the social medicine program through UHN with Dr. Bouzari, which
Yeah.
I feel like it's the same concept with the same concerns, but like a different programs. I don't
Yeah.
know if their fundings is provincial or federal. I'm assuming it's provincial, and yours is if it's provincial or federal. But basically, I'm thinking like we have, like you are in Alberta, they are in Ontario. There's probably other different programs for different provinces, similar concerns. Is there any plan to kind of make it like a more like a joint program to bring more attention to this problem, which is actually me working with like in crisis teams, like this is like one of the biggest concerns and reasons for homelessness in Toronto, in Alberta, in Vancouver.
Yeah. The good news is I've been working with him. Actually, the article in the Globe and Mail covers the work that he's done as well. And we're working closely with a researcher in Ottawa. Her program, ironically, is called the Bridge Project. Ours is called Bridge Healing. And our plan is to merge the two together because she's got some elements that we don't have. And we've got the elements of the building, which is crucial because it's taken a long time to figure out how to build a building on a single city lot, right? So things like zoning and all the rest of it. Now, Toronto's kind of unique, and Vancouver and Montreal, because, they're dense cities, but we can still use that same concept of only 8 to 12 people at the same time. And yeah, we're in scale up phase. I just got off a meeting before joining you folks of planning for 4 more buildings this year, and then working with our community partners. The city of Edmonton, for example, gives us land for free. So we don't have to pay for land. We get the land for free, and we get a grant of $900,000 to get us started. Having the Royal Alexander Hospital Foundation commit 10 million over 3 years gives us the ability to breathe and actually start planning ahead because we have to scale up, right? I showed you those numbers in Edmonton. At the Royal Alex alone, there's 8,000 visits, 3,000 patients. So we've got a big unmet need. And that's why using AI will make us use those beds very efficiently so that we can actually predict how long the patients are going to stay with us. So I think we're doing some pretty good work on the cutting edge of how to use AI as a tool for social workers, doctors, nurses, because just imagine this program, these patients show up 24/7. We don't have social workers 24/7. And some of the facilities don't have social workers at all in the emergency department. And so to have a tool that can talk to 20 patients at the same time and assign a bed is powerful if we had enough beds, right? So we don't even like the first thing we do is we check if there's a bed. If there's no beds available, we don't do the interaction with the patient because why create this false hope with them, right? So our goal now is ramp up, build as many buildings as we can so that we overbuild and there will always be a bed for someone that needs it. Yeah, it's quite exciting to see the look on their face when you can actually tell them we've got a place to send you. But the thing we found out was these are very complex patients and we know nothing about them. And so no social worker, doctor, or nurse combined is smart enough to figure out a complexity score for these patients because they're so complex. And no one's ever tried other than VSPADAT, which really doesn't work. So yeah, so thanks for reaching out. And yes, there are a lot of people that know about the program and are hopefully going to help us, expand it as well.
Well, may I have another question too? Sorry,
Yeah.
it brought me to like a micro thing. How do you track, like how in emergency they track the clients or the patients in need?
Yeah, what we try and do is track them from the very beginning by the triage nurse asking them if they're homeless. So the triage nurse says, "Do you have a place to stay tonight?" Because you can't go by the address they give you on the chart, because a lot of them will give you an address of a shelter, a family friend, an old address, a fictitious address, and then you don't pick them up. So just because the chart says NFA, no fixed address, there's others that are in the emergency department that are homeless that have an address. So you've got to ask the patient at the very beginning and then flag it on the chart. And what we do is at the start of our shift, we phone Bridge Healing and go, "Do you have any beds?" And if they say yes, two, then we'll tell you we scramble. We look for patients to fill those beds because we're competing against 5 other hospitals. And so, the beds are very scarce. Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
There's a few questions in the chat, which I'll just read out to you.
Sure.
One of them is, are you planning on expanding the program to the rest of Canada? And also, who would lead the independent projects and what locations would be prioritized?
Yeah. The answer is no, simply because I've got enough work to do just expanding it within Edmonton, let alone Alberta. If we're going to expand, it'll probably be Alberta first and then across the country. It would take, somebody, I guess, like me, that's really interested and passionate about this, doing it within their community because different communities have different needs and it's best led by someone local. What we're doing is we're sharing the blueprints for the building, we're sharing our evaluation reports, we're sharing Joan eventually, I think, will probably share her license, but the manual that Dan put together, the implementation manual, pretty well tells you everything you need to do. And Dan, you've got the latest version since you wrote it. You're more than welcome to share it with the group, so because then they get the history of it. And it was actually before Dan polished it off, 4 students in my advocacy class did it as their project. And Bridge Healing came out of a class that I teach at the university called Public Health Advocacy, where students have to come up with a public health problem, find a solution, and then they have a press conference. And this year, students are working on a really great project, which is to come up with a new model so that any ambulance that picks up a patient that's overdosed or homeless or suffering mental illness or intoxication, instead of being brought to the emergency department, is brought to a homeless ICU. So we want to create a homeless intensive care unit for these patients to get the resources that they need to then move on to either bridge healing or back in the community or back to shelter. So it's an entirely new model, and March 25th at 10 o'clock is the press conference that we're having.
Thank you. Another
So-
question.
So Dan, if medical school doesn't work out, you can always come back.
Thanks for the offer.
Yeah.
Another question that someone wrote was, are there any factors that determine who is accepted into the bridge healing program versus who is not? So like substance abuse, income level, etc.
Yeah, good question. Our entry level is the barriers are very low. So we're a harm reduction program. So if somebody's using, that's no problem. We just ask that they not use in a public space. They can use in their room and to let us know they're using so that we can check on them to make sure they're okay. Yeah, if they're drinking, they can drink, but not in a public place. Um, I mean, unless they're threatening someone or threatening themselves, that's about the only barrier. Or unless they've got like a really bad medical problem, right? But once we get our medical clinic up and running, we should be able to take them as well. We're the only place that takes people on oxygen, for example. So we're pretty liberal in term. We're not cherry picking our patients. Trust me, we're taking the hardest patients that are out there.
And another question that was asked is there a maximum time limit that individuals are allowed to use the program for?
Yeah, good question. And the answer to that is no. We had one gentleman that was with us for 260 odd days. He was developmentally delayed, older gentleman, needed a special group home, and it took us almost a year to find that group home for him. Shortest stay was 3 days. Guy from Vancouver just wanted to get back home. So we helped him get back to Vancouver, but we gave him a safe place to stay.
Are you still there?
While he was,
Are you still there, Dr. Francescutti?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. So you just cut out for a little bit.
I dropped off there.
No worries. Another question that was asked. Hang on. I think he cut out again.
So I have a question.
Hang on. Yeah, I'll maybe just message him to turn off his camera because that might help. Seems that he was booted out of the meeting. That's unfortunate. Hopefully he can join back in pretty soon. Also, in the meantime, yeah. In the meantime, just so that everyone's here who's on the meeting, if you guys want to connect with the group as a whole, so the social prescribing group as a whole, there was the email posted in the chat. Feel free to contact us there just to learn about the entire working group if you're interested. I'll post it again in the chat.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask. How can we get involved? At what
Yeah.
level? Because
So that's probably the best way. Contact this email address, and we'll definitely reach out to you and connect.
okay, that's good. And actually, you know, he was asking me the meaning of this Quranic words that I have behind me, the Quranic ayah. So I wanted to, you know, say it properly that, my Lord, indeed I am for whatever good you would send down to me in need. And that so much correlates with what you guys do with social prescribing. That's basically helping people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And also, yeah, there's the social media. Follow us on social media. There's lots of opportunities there.
Is it in the email or?
Sorry?
Is it in the chat, or we will be getting the email?
It's in the chat as well.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Seems like he still hasn't come back to the meeting. I'll see what might be wrong.
Hi everyone, our apologies for the technical difficulties here. I've sent off an email to Dr. Francescutti to see if he will be able to reconnect with us. We'll stay on until shortly after 6 p.m. MST here in case he is able to. However, if he's not able to reconnect, we'll be sure to send out all of the resources that he shared throughout this discussion this evening, as well as his contact information that he shared in case you have further questions for him. But once again, thank you so much for joining us, and thanks for your patience as well.
All right. Unfortunately, Dr. Francescutti couldn't join back into the meeting, but I do have him on speakerphone here. So if you guys have more questions, he can probably speak via here. So I guess one question that someone asked was, for medical students, how can medical students help? Like, what is our role, especially medical students who are not located in Alberta?
Yeah, well, there's many things you can do. One of them is write an op-ed piece for your local paper describing bridge healing and asking why a program like that doesn't exist in your community. So in other words, you can start advocating. What you could do is organize a Zoom call or a meetings call in your local area, and I'd be more than glad to join you remotely and do this presentation again. So be an advocate, right? It's going to be hard as a medical student doing medical school and trying to do something like this, but find out who's interested in doing something like this in your community, and then reach out to them and say, hey, listen, I've got a manual that would help us put a program like this together in our community. How come we're not doing it? So that's the way I would do it. With the network that you have right now, find similar-minded individuals, social workers, nurses, be interdisciplinarian. And there's always a donor in a community that'll help you get started. So raise awareness. You've got a plan, and just do it. I mean, when I was a medical student, my God, those were the best years of my life, because I used to do all sorts of stuff and then just say, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just a student. I mean, you can really hide under that guise and do some remarkable stuff, but advocate. Yeah, just advocate. You can write it. You can actually write an article do a little bit of research and write an article on why medical students should be more interested in homeless patients, right? That'd be a great article.
Thank you so much. Any last questions? I guess it is pretty much 7 o'clock here. So
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah, we'll probably need to wrap up. But yeah, thank you so much for coming, Dr. Francescutti. It's a pleasure to have you. And thank you guys, everyone who attended the call. I'm glad that you guys are interested in this, because it is a big issue that well, we'll need lots of people working on together. So,
and if there's anything I can do to help, you've got my email and phone number. Just reach out.
sounds good.
Have a
And
great life, everybody.
for sure. And if any of you guys are interested in the implementation plan and all of those resources, you can feel free to contact the email that was put in the chat, the group email address, and we'll definitely get the implementation plan and other resources to you.
Great. Bye, everybody.
All right. Take care, everyone.